Okay.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's class. Um, as you already know, I am Mr. Joseph, and we've had over the week from Monday to yesterday, which is Wednesday, we've had a very robust session talking about the theoretical aspects of design, from principles of design to the fundamentals down to typography and color. And yesterday we talked about layout and composition as well as how to get the best images and how not to get into trouble using images that have copyrights on them, right? So quickly we'll do a very short recap. And remember I said today we would go into the softwares. We check each and every software to help us to see the difference between them. That's CorelDRAW, Adobe Illustrator, and Adobe Photoshop. So we check which is raster based, which is vector based, and how they differentiate themselves from each other and what we can use them for. And I also said what not to use them for. Do you get? So quickly, let me get right into our slides. Okay. So good morning. I can see your charts. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, thank you, Mary. I had a good night. I hope you're well rested too. Okay, so straight into the summaries from everything. I'd like somebody to tell me what why do we need the principles of design? What are they used for? So if you want to speak, you raise your hand and I would allow you to speak. I'll unmute you. Okay. Busayo, Francis. All right, Busayo, go ahead.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Okay, if I get it right, you said the question is why do we need
The principles of
the
design.
principles? The principles
Yes.
of design, to my own basic understanding as
Mm-hmm.
as a beginner to graphics
Design.
designers
Yeah.
work, I will say the principle is needed to integrate should I use the word interface? The whole
Go on.
interface of graphics designing to understand the concepts behind everything and to be able to interpret it to our design space.
Okay. Thank you. Well said. So for any other person that wants to speak, I would just allow you guys to, or just let you guys know that quickly there's no wrong answer, right? So don't feel that, oh, this is more correct or there's no wrong answer. Okay. But I would tell you what or why the principles are needed. So David,
Yeah, good morning.
good morning.
Yeah, I think the principles of design,
Mm-hmm.
these are just rules that helps us to guide us while we um make our designs. So Just think they're just rules that we need to go by, each and every one of them. So they help us guide how we address our these lines.
Okay, very good. Very good. Thank you. Um, okay, Kenneth says they help put the right elements into place or play. Okay, comfort. Go on. If you want to speak, just raise your hand. Edith, I would give you, sorry, Edith, I will give you the chance to speak after comfort. So comfort, I can hear you. Go on.
Okay, principles of design uh, are set rules that one needs to keep in mind while designing. There are rules that will guide us and make sure that we have a perfect design at the end of our project.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Well said. Okay. Orji says the principles of design are important in graphic design because they help to create a visually pleasing and effective design. Good. Principles such as balance, contrast, repetition. Alignment is not a principle, remember, can help make a design more appealing and easier to understand. Alignment is a different principle under layout and composition, but your definition is correct. Okay, one last person before we continue. So everybody's right. Okay. What I said about the principles of design was there are set rules. They guide us. They help you to understand what goes where and what shouldn't be. You know, they just tell you what's right and what's wrong. Very simple. There are rules that help you understand what's right and what's wrong. They help the creator give an excellent viewer experience, which is a very good answer as well, Francis. So, and I said before that we need to understand what graphic design. If you're talking about the principles of graphic design and you don't even know what it is, simply the use of text and graphics to communicate ideas visually. I remember I kept hammering on the word communicate because a design is meant to communicate. That is why you need the principles, because if you get them wrong, your design will actually not be communicating. And then we have the 8 types of principles. When I say types, 8 principles. We have unity that speaks to agreement or uniformity in design. We have balance that helps to symmetrically or asymmetrically align objects in different sizes, which we see here. I'm sure everyone understands balance so well. We've had so many examples on balance. Then hierarchy. Hierarchy is another thing everybody here should understand by now because we've talked about hierarchy from day one down to yesterday. So hierarchy simply just tells you read this first, then go to this next and this next and like that, simply by increasing sizes, right? Then when you now add color, it means you've added what? Emphasis. Now, contrast. You know, I said when somebody said, "Oh, this design pops," that's what does that's what makes the design to pop. Contrast is what does popping. You get. So it helps with readability. I said legibility and what accessibility, and it works hand in hand with hierarchy. Contrast is simply the difference in objects. Black, white, contrast. Big, small, contrast. Wide, slim, contrast. You get thick and thin, contrast. Bright and dull, contrast. Even on this slide, you see a white part and a reddish part. That is contrast. It's that simple. So you see contrast in shape, contrast in color, contrast in scale, contrast in layout. So contrast is everywhere. Then emphasis, which I already just talked about. It helps you to differentiate an object from the others by size. Because of size, we always think that emphasis and hierarchy have a similarity, which they do. But size, weight, color, shape, and style. You know, there can be this text emphasis here. There can be another emphasis written in the same size. But once I add color to that one, that becomes the emphasis, not the other one. Once I make that other one thicker, it becomes the emphasis, not this one. You get that's how it works. As you can see here, it just helps you create focal points. And I kept mentioning the hallway or an empty room painted in white with a frame that has a red painting. The first thing you see when you get into that room will be that red painting. And what does that do for you? It creates a focal point and it's giving you what? Emphasis. Then scale. We talked about scale. Some people call it proportion, right? It's just the way elements are sized. Big, 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 small, 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 any size. That's scale for you. Straight to the point. As you can see, it can be in size, in ratio, or in division. As simple as that. So you see that the principles are now simpler for you to understand because you have seen them in play. You've seen them in design examples. You've been able to look at designs and pinpointed that, okay, this is what is emphasized. This is what is creating balance. Oh, this is the contrast, or this is the hierarchy. You can tell, okay, I like the white spacing. You've been able to see designs differently between Monday and now. That is why these things are easy for you to grasp, okay? So kudos on that. Now, repetition. And okay, so repetition brings me to the part where I was telling you guys yesterday that every aspect of design has its own principle, but most of the principles mean the same thing across board. So repetition is the same thing when it comes to layout and composition. You're still repeating something, right? Hierarchy is the same thing when it comes to typography or when it comes to layout and composition. You're still making something stand out and giving direction of where to read and where not and where to follow, right? Balance is still balancing stuff, even when it is on the principle or on the fundamental, it is still balance. Do you get it? So repetition is repeating stuff, basically. And I said it's majorly used for patterns or textures, right? Then we had an example here. And it said repetition changes perspective. You see, it is repeated, just the shapes, same shape everywhere. Then we'll talk about white space, which is our favorite, right? We talk about how white space is negatively effective. And I told you, I said, the word negative is already connoting something that is not right. But when you now qualify it with the word effective, it means that, okay, that's actually a good thing. That's what white space is. Effectively, a negatively effective space. It can be called negative space. Don't try to always think, okay, it is either white space or white space. It can be called negative space. right? And it helps in your designs. It helps. I showed you this perfect example. It creates balance. It shows contrast. It shows hierarchy. It helps for emphasis, you know? It is as important as every other principle in design. In fact, if you take out white space, there might be trouble in your design. Communication might be lost. You could actually send the wrong message without white space. And I mentioned that every of the principles work hand in hand. They don't work in isolation. They work together. If you see contrast, there will be hierarchy. If you see hierarchy, there will be emphasis, right? And if you see contrast, there's balance. You see balance, there's contrast. So they work hand in hand. Now we said, why do the principles matter? And we talked about how every piece of design work is made up of design elements and principles. When the principles are combined and used correctly, now it is one thing for you to use it, it is another thing to use it what? Correctly. A design commands your attention and is hard to ignore. Those design samples you saw between Monday and yesterday that were very mind-blowing for you. Why were they mind-blowing for you? Simply because they commanded attention and they were hard to ignore. It is that simple. The design guides your eye through the story with the help of hierarchy, and it keeps you visually entertained with the help of contrast, white space, and the likes. And it helps you stay engaged. Okay, so yeah, that's how the principles come into play. That's why the principles matter. And then we talk about fundamentals of design. And I think yesterday we still went back to this because we had to talk about texture a lot. We had to talk about form. We had to talk about shape, lines. We had to talk about balance again, right? And a lot of times we just kept coming back to the fundamentals. Guess what? It happens. Once you're working on the composition and you had the texture, fundamentals have been introduced. Once you use balance, principles and fundamentals have been introduced, right? Now, what did we say the fundamentals are? We say that they are the foundation of every visual medium, backed from fine art down to modern web design. The fundamentals have played a very crucial role. And they even present these seemingly unimportant details like forms that make up composition. They help you to put them into the right perspective. So the fundamentals play a major role, right?
Uh-huh. So that people don't understand it.
Okay. So we mentioned line, shape, form, texture, and balance. And I explained how they all come into play. How a shape is just a shape. And if you add form, it becomes, it gives it an idea. It becomes a different kind of shape. If you look closely, you see a triangle, a circle, and a square. But on the square, it has texture. The circle has form because it has shadow and perspective with the use of light. But the shape remains flat. If you add shadow to that shape, it becomes form. And I showed you an example yesterday where I created a shape and added shadow and stuff, and you saw that. So you can see the scribbled lines, the triangle for shape, and the ball for form, the texture square for texture, and the lines that carries everything like a weight. That's balance. Now, the idea is to keep an open mind because all of these things, they work hand in hand. I said that. Then lines, I told you how lines are two dots connecting each other from one point to another. It can be wavy, it can be thick, it can be thin, it can be rough, it can be sharp. It can be used for patterns, illustrations, drawings, textures, and it can help to create emphasis as well. And it can be used for decoration. See the different sizes of lines or different types. These are just few. So lines come in weight. Either it is thick or it comes in color or texture. This is a textured line or style. This is some kind of wavy line, right? Now, remember, I always mention less is more. So as not to use every kind of line on one design. Don't put a thick line, a colored line, a textured line, or a wavy line in a single design. You have to decide. And I said, keep it consistent, keep it simple, less is more, right? Shape. Any any two-dimensional area with a recognizable boundary is a shape. Now you're wondering, yeah, there are quite a lot. That is why we have the organic All right. Sorry about the glitch. I'm back. So I was talking about organic shapes, right? So I was talking about organic shapes and how you could draw anything with your hand. It doesn't have to be any of the geometric shapes. Just let it flow, and that's an organic shape. And I just drew whatever you this is an organic shape, right? So however it is, so it's just regular or free form. Geometric is regular, organic is free form, right? And we talked about how the shapes are in everything we see, from websites to street signs to the icons on our phones to the arts in the museums and the galleries. Then form. I remember we had quite a few conversations around form and texture yesterday. So you can see there are two images here, as I explained. Form just allows you make an image become three-dimensional because the illustration here was two-dimensional before it became three-dimensional with the use of shadow, light, and perspective, right? The first one is a real image, like a picture of a real thing taken. The other one is an illustration of the real thing. Okay. Then I gave you examples of how form makes objects have realism. And without it, images would just be flat. That is why we have this example here. It has shadow, it has light, and it shows perspective. Same thing happens here on the other image on the side. Even images that are less realistic use similar techniques to create dimension. The lighting and shadow are stylized, but still hint at a form and depth. Okay? Then this was the perfect example we used. The shadow underneath the teacup. Once that shadow is taken off, the teacup is hanging. Either looks like it is floating or flying or something. But with shadow, you can tell that it's placed on something. That gives you an idea of, okay, this makes sense. This looks real. Because that's what form does. It creates the illusion of realism, right? Now, texture, the same thing, two images up here. And one is the real image. The other one, which is the one beneath, is the illustrated image. Now, I also said, when you see a light cartoon, do not touch it. Forget this image you're seeing here. Because it has rough edges and can be dangerous, okay? But that shows that's the texture in it. The sharpy stuffs around it. Those are considered texture. On the illustrated one down here, the texture is created by how the design is. You can see the dotted stuff around it. That's what creates texture. It creates like a pattern for it. And it's trying to make it look like, okay, it's real. Meanwhile, it is an illustrated design. The real one is the one up here. This other one is the illustrated one. But then you can create texture, right? Remember, it is like form, and it can be part of a three-dimensional object. That's what texture is. It is the physical quality of a surface. I always said your desk, your wall, the surface of your phone, the texture of your clothes is texture. This is the example we used with the wall here as a texture. The wooden top here has a texture. the chimney has a texture, the rug has a texture. And we also agreed that texture can be smooth, it can be rough, it could be hard, and it could also be soft. Then this is an example we use as well, where we talked about not allowing, not using too much texture, not going overboard, because going overboard becomes overwhelming for the reader. Remember, you're trying to communicate to an audience because design is meant to communicate. So in communication, you want to be as clear as possible. You want to be as legible as possible, right? So if exactly less is more. So if you use too much texture, you can actually lose it. The idea is to what? Keep it simple. I said less is more, but more is not less. You can see that for yourself. The image on the left suggests that less is more. The image on the right suggests that more is not less because more is overwhelming. Okay. Now we went on to talk about balance. Just the same way balance is from the principles, the same it is on the fundamentals as well. It can either be number, it can either be size, it could be negative space, it could be color, you know. There's a lot of examples of balance. And this was a perfect example we used, and we had to pick between card A, which is symmetrical, and card B, which is asymmetrical. Then we talked about rule of thirds, which is an important feature when you are deciding where you want to place your image in a composition. And I said, you use the grid lines, the 3x3 grid lines, to create a focal point, and you place the image on one of the grid lines or near one of the grid lines, as you can see in the description here, in the example, it's on one of the grid lines. Okay, that is what rule of thirds is. And you can see that this is already speaking to layout and composition. Then we put it all together and you can see all of them: shape, form, balance, texture, lines. And we showed these examples. And we had fun talking about Mr. A. We still saw him yesterday, right? We talked about the texture, the balance, the hierarchy, the lines, same thing, right? And then we moved on to typography the next day, where we said it is simply the use of text or the style and appearance of text. And we also mentioned, or we agreed, that text is everywhere around us. I said the stop sign, the bumper stickers, even plate numbers on cars, your favorite snack, even when you're texting on your phone, typography. Then we mentioned that there are common types of fonts, which are serif, which are sans serifs, and display. Then we talked about serif being the fonts that have strokes, and those strokes are what makes them serif. And we mentioned that they are traditional and they give classic look. They are used for publications in print, like magazines and newspapers, right? And then sans serif, the word sans, which is French for without serif, just shows you that there are no strokes on the sides of each character. And that gives it the modern feel. That gives it the accessibility, the readability, and legibility feel. That is why on all the websites you visit, in fact, 90% of them use sans serif. All the softwares on your computer, all the applications on your mobile phone, they use sans serif. If you open your chat right now, it's sans serif. Even looking at the the font choice of Zoom while we're on this call is sans serif. That's because it's modern and it's easy to read. I don't have to stress myself to read it. Just like you can see on my slides, you don't have to stress yourself to read it. That's the work of sans serif, right? Then we moved on to display, which you can see it is very, very fancy and display in nature. And I said it could be script, it could be black letter, it could be monotype or all caps, it could be fancy. And I also mentioned that there are other kinds of fonts, but they are all under display, which is why you have script here, black letter, monotype, and the likes. And we agreed after going through the slides and understanding how display fonts work that decorative fonts or display fonts are best for small amounts of work, maybe just for the titles or the headers, just like you have here, yoga. Just use decorative fonts for that part, and every other thing can go back to sans serif or maybe serif. Or battle of the bands, right? Then choosing a font, we talked about how the language is important, right? We still talked about this yesterday. We talked about it could be casual, neutral, exotic, or graphical. Then we talked about these fonts that you shouldn't use at all. Then combining fonts is one of the most important things you need to learn because it helps you to not keep your work boring. But even if you're having issues with deciding which font goes with which font, just use the same font, have bold and regular. Increase the size. This is just one font on this slide, and you can see that it is perfectly okay, good to read, legible, and well aligned. There's balance and everything. Just one font, right? So if you're having issues thinking, oh, which fonts will go together, I told you a lot of fonts have multiple sizes: regular, semi-bold, medium, bold, heavy, black, name it. So you could use a regular font and then an italicized font, which is the example you see here. Also, you use a short and a long font. You can also use complementary colors. You can also use all caps and lower cases when combining fonts. Then we talked about the other important terms, which are kerning, leading, tracking, and hierarchy. Remember, I said you don't have to master all of this because most of your fonts already have them, right? So we talked about all of this yesterday, and we also mentioned that there could be back kerning. But if you choose a font that has back kerning, just quickly move to another font. Then we put them all together and we saw all of this. Then we moved into color and we explained how color is also everywhere in everything because it plays a vital role. And I told you that colors have emotions because they communicate, using the restaurants as example. And then we talked about the primary and secondary colors, how you mix them and you get the color wheel. And we also took a closer look on hue, which is another word for color, saturation, which just tells you if a color is more subtle or more vibrant, which is highly saturated or desaturated. Then we talked about value, which shows you how dark or how light the color is. Then we created color schemes using the color harmony formula, which we talked about monochromatic, analogous, complementary, split complementary, of course, triadic, and tetradic. Then we talked about mistakes to avoid as well. this kind of mistake, which is why saturation and value is important. This is better, right? And we compared these examples as well. Then choosing the right colors, I said, depends on the content or context of the design. Just as when picking fonts, it depends on the language of communication. Same thing applies to color. Then in finding inspiration, in case you're thinking, okay, I can't get the exact color I want to use, I mentioned that there are websites that have color schemes already. There is coolors.com, I think, and there is Color Hunts. Just type them on Google and the websites will appear. They have ready-made color schemes for you. You can just pick and use for your design. Okay. Then it also can inspire your look as well. Then yesterday we talked about layout and composition. We agreed that layout and compositions are the building blocks of design. Remember, the fundamentals are foundations of design. The layout and composition are the building blocks. Now we have the foundation. Now we want to start building. That's where layout and composition comes in. Okay? And that's simply because it is the way your content is arranged. It doesn't matter if it's just text or it's just images or elements in a graphic. Without a thoughtful, well-composed layout, your work would basically fall apart. Then we said there are 5 principles: proximity, white space, alignment, contrast, and repetition, right? We talked about all of them yesterday as well. And we mentioned, so this is hierarchy again, which is the same thing, like I said. It just gives you direction on where your eye goes to. Repetition. Remember, we just saw repetition in the principles. This is repetition here as a principle in layout and composition. It helps you to just repeat elements in your design. Okay. Then we talked about how layout and composition are unsung heroes. And this is an example of a very well-composed layout. As you can see, this uses alignment. Everything here is in center alignment. That's the text on the menu, right? Then we had fun talking about these examples. The newspaper article, the book cover, and the power of images. Yes. So I'd like someone to tell me, why are images important in design? If you want to speak, just raise your hand and I'll unmute you so you can speak. If you have network issues, just type on the chat and I'll read your questions out, like we said. Okay. Opeyemi, go on. All right.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I feel images are powerful in designs because they help communicate messages better. So, for just having just a lot of text or typography makes the image, it makes the graphics more interesting. Just communicate.
Okay. Opeyemi says it helps the graphics more to communicate more and to be more interesting. Sule says they tell the story most of the time, which is a good one. Images tell a story, Loretta. Queen says images resonate with other. Olayemi says color explains the importance and purpose of the design. Yeah, well, that's good. So we're talking about image now, okay? Ayo, you want to speak? Go on. Kabiesi, do you want to speak?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes, I can hear you. Go on.
Like
Yes.
the other image.
Is someone speaking? Sorry.
Go on.
Yeah. So images
No, go on.
helps explain, without doing too much, like you always say. When you put an image in a design and you put a small text, like it further explains what you are trying to depict to your audience than, in a design, in essence.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, Ignatius says it conveys the mind of the designer. That's a very deep one. Olayemi, okay, so I meant images explain importance and purpose of the design. Yes, that's another role. Juliet says they are catching and it communicates even without words. True. Rebecca says images are important because they help draw the audience's attention to the exact message in a design. Very good. That is why your image needs to tell a story, not just a generic image. Do you get it? Lukman says images help in understanding the information to be passed more. Okay, Victor, you can speak.
Okay, hello, good morning.
Good morning.
So me, I believe image helps to like communicate a message to the audience, and it also helps to evoke as in emotions, depending on the message you are trying to pass. And it also creates memorable experience also, and then it helps to convey idea quickly.
Very good, very good. That's a very good one. Thank you. Okay. Justin says images play a crucial role in design as they have the power to convey messages, evoke emotions, and capture attention. Thank you so much. Okay, Sefi, go on, you can speak.
Okay, can you hear me? Good morning.
Yeah, I can hear you. Good morning.
Okay, yeah, images actually helps the audience to actually understand the idea behind the whole design. So I believe that when the image is captured very well, then the audience is able to, even without reading the font,
the text,
the person is able to understand the message.
Very good, very good. True, true. Shibike, you wanted to speak? Esther says images explain the purpose of a design. Very good as well. Adebimpe says images are like text, but in a pictorial manner, which helps to convey certain information for the understanding of the audience. That's a good one. Oji says images can help to convey a message more effectively than text alone. They can also help to create a certain mood or atmosphere in a design. Very, very good. All your answers are amazing. I like the fact that everybody puts the answers in their very own understanding, which are all correct. They are all correct. Bella says images show what you're talking about and they let the design come out. Okay, Ayo, you want to speak? Go on.
Like
Ayo.
the other image you showed on the menu, like I said, like the other menu images you showed that showed the menu. Now seeing the plate
Yes.
on it, they already told you that it is for food, and so that's the power of image.
Mhm. Good,
Do you
good.
get me?
Very good example. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I got you. I got you. That's a very good example. Yes. So images just convey the message, even without the text. Like in that design, you could already see that is item 7. No plenty story to tell. This is item 7. And then the menu is there. You just know it's a food conversation. So that's the work of image. If you put this menu on a laptop, maybe laptop and phone, and you put a menu there, you are communicating a different thing entirely. The person is now wondering, who lets this menu here? The person would not know if you're talking about food. The person just knows, obviously, right? David says, images draw attention of the reader as they communicate emotions and help the reader understand what design even without reading the text. Yes, like you can see from all the images here on the screen, they are telling a different story. Now, we also talked about how images are very important, and images should be what? They should be high quality. The quality of the image is very important. Remember, we talked about that. And we talked about selecting the right image for the design. Because now we're talking about cuts. I mentioned yesterday, if I bring an image of a person sitting down and even holding a basketball, would it still resonate well with the design? Remember, the two ladies here are playing basketball now. They're about to throw the ball in the net. If it was somebody just sitting down and holding the ball, would it still communicate the same thing? P says, image is the first thing that catches the eye in a design and gives one the idea of what is being advertised even before reading the text, which is a good answer. So now I'm asking a question. If this design has someone seated with a ball, even if it's this ball, and he's just sitting, you might actually just think it's a photo shoot for a birthday ceremony somewhere. But you see that this picture is in motion. Exactly. That other image is a different story. But because this picture is in motion, it helps you communicate the exact story that this design or the message you still see that these people are in a court. They're playing basketball, right? Then we talked about the importance of your image being crispy clean, quality wise. It needs to be very clear because I said if the image is blurry, it sends the wrong message. And I told you how the audience will be wondering, is this a design style or is it a mistake? Or did they export or save or send out the poor version of the design or something? And if you even print it, it becomes worse. You will not be able to tell what you see because of the quality of the image. So it is important that the quality of your image is very clean. And I showed you yesterday how you get to how to check the sizes of images if you're using Google, right? Now, for stock websites, you don't have to do all of that because the stock websites gives you the bigger version by default. They want you to have the biggest size because they know that you might want to print or you might want to put the picture on a billboard or use it for a video. So they give you a big size. So with the stock websites where you are paying to buy these images, you don't have a problem. On Freepik, where as well for free, and some other websites like that, the Unsplash, they have free images. They are also in a very large quality, so you don't have to be looking for all of that. But on Google, you have to be very cautious of that. You have to look at it. You have to look for it. I have seen, Adebin says, I have seen a blurry image in a design before. And at first, I thought the design was depicting past years before technology until I was told it's talking about recent times. So quality of images play an important role. Exactly, which is what I'm saying. Once the quality is different or it is poor, it sends a wrong message. It sends a wrong message, okay? Now, we also talked about selecting the right images, right? Which is from where we got to the basketballing ladies. You can see how the choice of images work perfectly well. Now, after selecting images, you also need to understand how to combine images. Now, these are 3 images here. 3 different images, but if you look on the design, they look like it was a photograph taken of just 2 people. You don't know that it was 3 different images from different places. Now, before we go further, I remember we talked about editing your images, from removing the background to resizing the images to cropping the images to changing the colors to either black and white or whatever. And also, so removing background, cropping, resizing the image, removing the backgrounds, right? You could do all of that, and even adding or subtracting from the image, like we have here. The white lady disappeared. The distracting parts of the building disappeared. The old net was taken off and a new net was placed. Same thing happened here. The credit card in the lady's hand taken off and a key was introduced. Right? Even the hand of a guy with a blank phone shows on the phone here shows a screen of debit alerts, which is an edit to the image. Now, if you look closer to the key, you will see that there's now an inscription on it. That is also a way to edit an image. Exactly. Now, on this guy, this is Mr. B. Mr. B is playing golf on his land, which he purchased, right? We're trying to communicate that if you buy land in this environment, there is enough space for you to play golf. In fact, there is a golf course that people come to play golf on weekends. You just have to decide what kind of image you want to use to interpret that. Do you want to put somebody that is lying on the floor and holding a golf ball? No. You have to, so deciding on the kind of image deals with your research and your conceptualization. which, like I said, are very important features. Yep, you actually have to look closely to the image. Yes, Kenneth. You have to look closely at the image because it is important. Sometimes you take off things that are not needed. Other times you add things that are needed. On this design on the left, the ribbon was added. This tractor and this one were also added. The text was added. Okay. Now on the right part, the reason I brought that image was because we were talking about raster and vector type of images, and I made mention that this logo for Kraken is a raster image. Sorry, a vector image, and I said raster images are made up of tiny millions of pixels. And if the more you zoom in, they get blurry, right? That's what pixels does. They get blurry, and you can see the little tiny boxes, which are pixels. Okay, and for vector image, the more you zoom in, the clearer it gets. It does not get blurry. And I showed you that yesterday when I opened my Illustrator, and we had a mini practical session for that. Now, this you can see the image, the building, and the overall design. It is important raster images are made up of tiny minion pixels stacked together to create high resolution images. Perfect. So now on this design, you have to select what you wanted to talk about, or what you want to talk about, right? Looking at the image alone, you already understand what the design is about. Then you now read the small text up there. Santa is bringing you a gift. And it says, we hope it meets you in a joyful and cozy home. You can see that Santa is actually bringing you a gift. Okay. Can everyone see my screen clearly? Can you see my screen clearly? Can you see the slides? Can you see what I'm sharing? Is this centralized enough for you? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So as I was saying, we're talking about selecting the right images and editing them to fit rightly. Okay. Now, this image you see here, this is the stock image. This image you see here, this is the 3D image of the building that this company is trying to sell. Now, stock image, building, edited, and we have this. You can even see there is a tree by the side of it, or there are trees by the side of it. So it helps to communicate. And the choice of color, red, Christmas. Do you get? Then we had these ones, and I also told you how this image of the hand is a different element. The Naira note is a different element. The land, is a different element. The background is also a different element. Same for this one. The sky is a different element. This building is a different element. And the black space here, a different element. So it is up to you, the designer, to decide how you want to communicate the message. Most times, what clients do, what companies do, they give you the content. Say, I want this in a design. You go ahead and interpret it. And guess what? If I say, oh, Tessie, Elijah, Francis, Chibuike, Deborah, Gillette, Justin, Peace, Olayemi, Kabiesi, I say, all of you take this copy and create a design. Trust me, every one person will have a different interpretation of how the designs, of how they will communicate visually the message that is passed across to them. Every one person will have a different interpretation. And that's how it works, because we all see things differently. So if I'm thinking, oh, how do I show investment in land? And I'm showing someone saving money into land, like putting money in like a piggy bank. Kenneth might be thinking, what if I put a land and wrap it with a ribbon, like a land for sale? Olayemi might be thinking, what if I do something else entirely? Peace might also be thinking, what if the image is up and the text is down, you know? So every person will communicate differently. So don't think, oh, if you see two designs that are the same anywhere, just know that one person is inspired by the other person. Or some people can actually copy verbatim. That brings me to one very important thing I wanted to tell you guys. So in design, there is such a thing called stealing. Yes, I know you are wondering, Mr. Joseph, stealing. Yes, there's such a thing called stealing in design. Now, this is how stealing works. There's a book by Austin Kleon where he talked about stealing like an artist. What does stealing like an artist mean? It just means take an idea from here, take an idea from here, take an idea from here, bring all those ideas together in one design, and you have successfully stolen. But if you go and carry everything as you see from one design and bring it into your own, that is called copy and paste, and it is called theft. It is not stealing, which is bad actually, because it shows that you're not creative, because you're not thinking and you're not paying attention to details. But if you pick, see, now let's go back to all the designs. If you take the way this text is written on this design, the way cut is written here, if you pick it from this, that's one idea. You move to the next design. You look at this one, you see how the social media icons beneath are placed. You pick that as another idea. You move to the next design. You see the icons for sports zone and the location icon here. You pick that as an idea. You come here and you see the way this text is almost buried in sand. You pick that as a fourth idea. Then you come here, you see how maybe this guy is carrying, this Santa Claus is carrying this house and his bag is torn. You pick it up as a fifth idea. And then you come to your own design and you interpret them differently. That is what it means to steal like an artist, right? Not copy and paste. It is called steal like an artist, not copy and paste. No, like I said, don't copy and paste things. If you see two designs that are the same or look alike, because some people can be very funny, they could just carry your design, take off your logo, take off your brand name, change the text to fit into their own, and put their own brand name and logo. Your existing design, what causes that? Is that person not a designer? He's a designer. But how did that person get to that level? Simply because they are not paying attention to details, they are not researching enough, and they have no understanding of what design is. And lastly, because they are lazy. As a designer, you have to be willing to put in work. You go online, do your research, tons and tons of research, because you have to research deeply. Simply because there are tons of other graphic designers out there. You don't want to repeat an idea someone has already done. Even if you repeat an idea someone has already done, you should be able to represent it differently, right? Now, this is Mr. A once again. We talked about the choice of image and the difference in editing, how the background here is red and on the design is white, the background here is black and on the design is red, and how that red and white speaks and flows with the brand color. Same thing here. Image placement, rule of third, balance, right? And we ended it with questions and everything like that. So, any question before we go into our class for today? Okay, Olayemi says, as a designer, you must be creative and be able to think deep. Yes, 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 very important. You have to. You have to. That is why I say you see things differently from every other person, because you're a deep thinker. Somebody said I enjoyed your opinion. Don't enjoy my opinion. If it's right, take it. Okay. So, any questions before we go into the software for today? I'll take questions for the next 5 minutes. So, any questions? Okay, Olayemi, go ahead, speak.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Please, in our previous classes, I can understand that you said it's better you learn your design on CorelDRAW, if I'm not mistaken, than all these apps that some of them they are automatically that you just pick. Like you said now that stealing, that design is all about stealing, that you pick from this and you
I
create your
think
own design. So now, as a graphic designer,
Mhm.
is the idea, is it that you need to learn and know your CorelDRAW better or make use of all those apps?
Okay,
Do you
so
understand?
let me.
I don't know how to put it
I,
together. I don't know if you understand me.
I think I didn't get you right, but let me try. Right. So
Okay.
we've not. I don't think we've talked about softwares yet. Okay. So yeah, because I remember on Monday when I was sharing the design, someone was talking about the designs were done on Canva or Premiere,
Yes.
Adobe Premiere. And another person said no, that they were done on CorelDRAW. And I
Yes.
answered, or I corrected that notion to say it is not entirely done on CorelDRAW. You can decide which software to use for your design, depending on the
Okay.
kind of design. And I also pointed out that, okay, this one year was done in CorelDRAW, this other one year was done in Photoshop, this one was done in Adobe Illustrator.
Okay.
I gave that description, right? So when it comes to when it comes to getting ideas, there are several platforms. Google is one of them. Pinterest is my
Okay.
top choice. Pinterest is my top choice for getting ideas when I want to design. There's Behance. Behance also have a very beautiful library of stuff to get inspirations from.
You
There's
said
Dribble.
Behance.
Don't worry, I'll send the link on the group now. I'll send the names rather. So there's
Okay, sir.
Behance.
Okay, sir.
There is Pinterest. There are websites and they have applications as well that you can use on your phone. There's Dribble. Dribble is with triple B. There's Google, of course, yeah. So with these four, you could get inspirations from anywhere. And as much as possible, like I said, keep it simple. Okay. So I think I've answered your question, Olayemi.
Yes, I'm cleared now. Thank you so much, sir.
All right, good. You're welcome. David says, instead of Santa opening a bag, can we attach the house to Santa riding on his reindeers? Very good idea as well. That's very good. Okay, Justin says, how do we think and create our designs? So, because your mind works with pictures and which are images, right? That is where research comes in. The websites that I listed down here now, Behance, Pinterest, Dribble, Google, they all deal with images. When you see images, they trigger thoughts in your mind. Depending on what you're designing for, you should be able to search for the right inspiration with the right keywords. So maybe you want to do a flyer that talks about Bonanza, right? So when you go on your research, you'll be checking on designs that are talking about Bonanza. That way you get to see how designs that talk about Bonanza looks like from all over the globe. Then you can have a general idea of how to communicate yours. Okay? Are there laid down rules on how design should be, either a flyer or a banner? That's from Sule. Okay, there are no laid down rules, right? All we have are principles of design, fundamentals of design, principles of layout and composition. Just make sure that you are communicating all of these things properly in your design, and you'll be good. There's no templates. And if you see a template online, you see that it's actually basic, right? So you need a little bit of thinking. Kenneth says, how can you be creative when there are tons of ideas out there? The idea, like I said, is to know what you want to communicate. And I also said 10 people cannot have the same design interpretation of a topic. 10 people cannot have the same design interpretation of a topic. Okay? Okoyemi is asking if Canva is a good app for design. Yes, Canva is good, but not for the designer. Canva is majorly for people who want to be able to create designs on their own. Maybe an entrepreneur that has a business and is just starting up and cannot afford a graphic designer. They can use Canva because Canva has lots of templates. They can use Canva to just quickly pick and create and communicate what they want to do prior to the time where they decide to hire a graphic designer. Okay. So how can we be creative when there are tons of ideas out there, right? It's the simple answer to that is research and understanding that the ideas you see on your research are not to be copied. Don't copy the entire idea you see. I said you can pick one thing from each design. You say, oh, I like the way the text is arranged. You picked it. You pick that, and on your own design, you can arrange the text like that. Fine. That's acceptable because it's different text, different communication, different messaging, right? You say, oh, this image is black and white, and the background has a color. I like that style. I think I can try it. That's how you get the right ideas. That's how you can be creative. Another thing that helps your creativity is study. Designers should also be able to read. You should read because reading helps you. Reading does a whole lot for you. Just the same way you went to school and you had to read for your exams and you came out in flying colors or colors that are not flying. But you understand that reading is important. So in design, reading is important. Read design books, read design articles, follow designers on Instagram, follow designers on Behance, on Pinterest, follow designers on YouTube. They have things to share with you that would help you stay creative, right? And from time to time, consume creative materials. When I mean consume creative materials, I'm talking about magazines. I'm talking about visiting websites that are top class websites. So when you go on Instagram, don't go looking for the recent news or the most recent gossip. Instead, go and look for design trends. Follow designers who have been in the game for a long time. They can show you how they got to where they are. They can tell their stories. So that helps you stay creative. Okay. Um, for anyone that has a low battery, you can always rewatch the sessions on YouTube. The sessions are on YouTube. You can go back and rewatch on your own time. Okay. So if you have a low battery or anything, just know that you can always get them on YouTube. Tessie, why are you laughing? Because I said you go to Instagram to look for recent gist, Abby. But it's true now. So you have to decide. You're a designer. When you're a designer, you have to cut away. You have to cut away some of those distractions because they become distractions. Focus on getting more design content. Focus on becoming a better designer by the day. Focus on improving on your skills. Focus on learning how the softwares go. Okay, I have a list of designers you can follow on Instagram. In fact, a lot of them. So I will share that. I'll share that after the class. Tessie, I'm giving that responsibility. Remind me after the class. I'll share that. A list of designers you can follow. Okay, so now let's go into why we are here today. Now I said today we're going to go into all the softwares, right? All of the softwares. Now, the first software would be. Now let me allow you pick. Okay, so we have three softwares: CorelDRAW, Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop. Photoshop is also a product of Adobe. Chelsea says we should start with Photoshop. Okay, who else? Go on. What should we start with? Photoshop as well. One more person say Photoshop and we'll start with Photoshop. That's it. We'll start with Photoshop. So from Photoshop, we'll go into Illustrator and CorelDRAW. Okay. Now, I just want you to see and understand something. Give me a minute. Okay. 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 Share Photoshop. Here we go. Okay. Now, Photoshop is open. Can everybody see? I was talking about Photoshop, Illustrator, and CorelDRAW. Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good. Good. So now, this is Photoshop. This is what it looks like when you open it. Now, you can see that part that says recent. It just shows you designs that you've worked on over time on the software. If you had not worked on anything, they will be empty. Okay? If you had not worked on any design, your Photoshop would just open a blank space. Is that okay? Now, first thing is to create new. Create new shows you how to create a new artboard for design, like a new interface, a new workspace. If you say open, open talks about designs that you've done before. So you see, when I clicked open, it brought me down to where I can select designs from the past. That's a previous design that you want to open. Now, on this recent tab, all the designs here, if I click on any one of them, it opens. You see? Then close. Okay, so let's create a new slide. So we click create new. Now, there are lots of questions here. You might be wondering, I don't understand this. Just hold on, okay? Just chill. It's nothing to be worried about. There are default settings. You could just pick and just click create and you're good to go. So this is saved. This is for photos. This is print, different sizes. This is art and illustrations. This is for web. This is for mobile. This is for film and video. So let's go to print. There's later. There's A4. There's A5. Photo, portraits. You see all the sizes. So now you could impute your own size here. You can select either in centimeters, in pixels, or in inches. So let's do pixels and say 2000 by 2000 pixels. Now, the color mode is usually on RGB. RGB is red, green, and blue. Okay, that's a vibrant and saturated color scheme. It's used for on-screen designs, maybe for your web design or for social media designs. The color mode is RGB. Now, CMYK is cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Cyan is blue, magenta is pink, yellow, of course, you know yellow. K on that is black. Now, that is the color mode for print when you want to print. So if you work on a design, if you're working on a design for print, you select CMYK. If it's a design for social media, just leave it on grayscale. Okay. Now, this is the background. If you want the background white or black or whatever, the background is mostly white. There's no stressing about that. These advanced settings, just leave that. Okay. Then you go on to create. So this is our artboard here. Now, I mentioned yesterday that when we start talking about the softwares, I'll show you the interface, which is what we have here. I'll show you where to get fonts from, where to pick fonts. I'll show you how to select color. Then I'll also show you alignment. Okay. Juliet, can you hear me now? I hope everybody can hear me. Okay, great. Okay, cool. All right, so now this is our Photoshop interface. Every of the tabs up here has one or two things that are very important. In fact, everything is important, as you can see on all of them. Plugins, Windows, Help, the View, 3D, Filter, Selection, Type, Layer, Image, Edit, and File. These are all panels, right? Now, these are all the tools on the left. These are all the tools. You can either be this way or this way, right? Now, you can decide how you want it to be. It doesn't have to be, if you want it to be like this, that's fine. If you want it this way, it's also fine. That's up to you, okay? Adela, whatever you missed, you can catch up on YouTube, okay? Sorry, just a minute. Okay, now, so we have this interface here. Let's look for fonts and add a text and give the text a color and put a background for this that has texture, right? So now let's start with the text. Chelsea says, what is the perfect frame size for Instagram designs? Well, there are no perfect frame size. It could either be 1080 by 1080. It just needs to be a perfect square. So there's a perfect square and there's a rectangular size. The perfect square could be 1080 by 1080. The rectangular size could be 170, depending on what you want, right? Okay, so let's see. We'll use your name as example. Now, so on the two parts, you can see T. T is for text, which means you want to type something. T is text typography. So I click T. Now you see it has options. Say horizontal type 2, vertical type 2, vertical type max 2, horizontal type mask 2. Don't worry yourself about all of those things, right? Just click text. And click on your artboard here. Now, before we go further, okay, let's cancel that. Before I go further, let me break it down to you. So if you look up here, see where my mouse is hovering on this panel here. This panel changes at every tool you select. The panel changes. If I select the rectangular marquee tool, the panel changes. You see that? Notice? If I select the lasso tool, it changes as well. If I select the quick selection tool, it changes. Crop tool, it changes. Frame tool, eyedropper, it changes. Any tool you select, brush tool, it changes. That panel up there changes. Good. Any tool you select here changes the panel, which gives you more options on what to use on how to use that tool effectively. So text, it changes. Now, this first column here is where we select our fonts. Now, Orbitron. These are all the fonts installed on this system, as you can see. Guess what? These are actually not much. In fact, they are not enough. Okay, I said, so we click text and we click on the artboard, right? So now let's go Tessy. We'll type in Tessy, Tessy. It's very small. We want to increase the size. Now, if you look up here, you see this 4.49. That is for size. You pick size, let's go 60. Now, we cannot see the text, but the text is there. Why can't we see the text? Because the text is white and the background is white. Now, select all, click on color. This is color right here. See. Did you see? Then you press OK. Now, it is all caps. And, okay, I need you to understand that for cursive fonts or script fonts, it is best to use title cases or caps and low. If you use all caps for cursive fonts, this is how not interesting they look. Right? Now, to change this to small letters, you can either type it in small letters. If that's not working, there is a character panel where you could just click. These are options. These options here are all clickable. You see that? Click off. Now, remember where we talked about kerning, leading, tracking? See all of them here. This is tracking. Did I say tracking? This is kerning, rather. This is kerning. See. Did you see that? See. That's kerning. Normally, the default kerning is always fine. Somebody said not enough. Abdurrahman, you said I should use your name too. Okay. Abdurrahman. Hope I spelled it correctly.
Joseph, sorry
said,
to intervene.
Yeah, who is this? Who is speaking?
Yeah, this is Michelle speaking. I just got my name of the cohort I was assigned to.
Oh, okay. Go on. All right. If anybody wants to speak, just raise up your hand, okay? So we don't interrupt. Thank you. The people that are looking for their names to be used, your name is here now. Very soon, everybody's name will be on the screen, and you see that there's no more white space. Then you'll be complaining what happened to principles of design. Okay, so I'll add, let me add Bello. Okay, so Tessie, Abdurrahman, and Bello. 3 names we have here. Now, you can see that by default, it is aligned to the left. Now, when you select all, see these 3 options up here. This is left alignment, this is center alignment, and this is right alignment. Watch, center alignment. Can you see? It changed. Somebody said I should add emphasis and hierarchy to their name. Exactly. That's how it all works. You see, all the names are in the same color. To add emphasis, I will just do this. To even make it more interesting, can increase the size. You can change the font. Don't use this font, please. So there's emphasis now. Hierarchy, this is how hierarchy works. Let's see, Bello becomes 10. Well, let's do 18. Now you can see that the first thing you see when you look is what? Tessie. The next thing you see is Abdurrahman. The next thing you see is Bello. That is how hierarchy works. Okay? Now, we have selected text. We have added color. We have checked alignment. We have checked tracking. We have checked we have checked kerning, right? We have selected font. Now, this is a different font used for testing. Abdurrahman, let's change the font now. You see a different thing entirely. Now, sans serif and serif, taller fonts and short fonts. Like I said, let's give Tessie a long font, a font that is tall. Bernard. So you see, this font is tall. The one used for Abdurrahman is short. But these fonts here are not, they're not looking compatible. Okay. Now, let's do Mola. This is decorative. This is a decorative font. Now we want this to be something very simple. Bank shrift. Very simple. Now, color. We want the colors to go well. So what colors should we use with regards to the color scheme? Let's try monochrome, right? Now, firstly, you can create shapes. Now, these are shapes. These are shapes here. So let's just create shapes and give them color. You see, when I created shape, the icons changed and the tools here also changed. Bello, we're coming. Okay, stroke. We don't need the stroke. We need color. So we're using green, right? Now, this is green. We can duplicate this. Remember, we're trying to create what? Monochromatic. So this is the first green. Let's make it, this is the first green. Let's make it the thicker. This is the next green, right? Take the color code, see the color code. Every color has a code. This is the color code right here. Now, the next one, which is this guy. Click, we impute that color code, and we take it up a bit. So now, then we have that. And then this come up more. Then this one. Hold on, I think there's a mistake here. This one is supposed to be. So watch the screen closely. Good. Copy that one. Come to this one. You can see the same thing. I'm doing the same thing over and over again. We're taking it up so it gets lighter. Then the last one. Hold on, I didn't copy the color scheme. And it's up all the way up. So now you can see that we have a monochromatic color scheme here. See? That's monochrome. So now, why we want to, let's separate these names so that now we want them to have the same color, right? So Bello gets the darker shade. So you see that when I, now, notice what happened. When I selected the text, I could, all the options are up here. When I click color, see, when I'm moving around this, I can pick any color from here. But when I move out of that, it becomes an eyedropper tool. Now, an eyedropper helps you pick color. Okay? How did you join them together? I just moved them to shapes. This is the move too. So this is the ticker and move, click and move, click and move, click and move. That is it. That's what I do. So you people saying you are lost. Where are you lost? What did you miss? What are you not getting? We're not designing. We're not designing. I'm just showing you the interface of Photoshop and how to place text and color. And I picked name of your classmates so that it is easier for you to relate with. Okay? So there's nothing to be lost about. If you still feel you're lost, you can always revisit YouTube. Okay, so you can rewatch. Because we're not designing. No, so David, this is not a practical class. I'm just showing you where to pick text from, where to pick image from. how to align them. And I'm also showing you how hierarchy comes to play and how you can choose color. You want my number for guidance? Okay, don't worry, you get that. Okay. Anyway, so let's go back to color. We're selecting color now. This is the second to the darkest one. Or we could pick this one or any. But the idea is to use what? A monochromatic color scheme. Do you get it? So now I hope we're clear. I hope we're clear. Okay. So we have touched on the interface, font, adding color, alignment. Then let's bring an image. So for the people saying they are lost, like I said, this is not the practical class. The practical classes starts on Tuesday, next week Tuesday, which is the 2nd of April. The practical classes will start. Then you go into full design. What I'm trying to do here is just to show you that these designs, in my opinion, we can make a repetition of the letters and apply a color gradient. No, that is not what we're doing. Your opinion is going to mislead us now. Sorry. Okay. So as I was saying, this is just to give you a basic idea. So you know what the software looks like before you go to the practical class and you're wondering, I've never seen this before. I'm trying to give you an introduction into the software. We're not designing. Is that clear? Please, if it's clear, type it is clear. Okay, good. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so now let's add image to this, right? There are 2, 3 multiple ways to add images to your design. One, you could drag an image and drop into your design. You could drag an image and drop into your design. 2, yes, I will be present at the practical classes, but not every day. Don't worry. I'm not going to leave you. Okay? I am with you always. Okay, so we just did drag and drop the image. That's step 1. To get image again, you go to file, place, or open. When you say open, you select image from here. See the image is opened. Then from here, you can see drag it to this place. So it's easy to just drag and drop. Or you can copy the image you copy the image and you paste it here. Sorry, okay. Okay, the image has refused to paste. Yeah. The reason why you think it's similar to Canva is because this is where Canva got his own idea from. But anyway, let's leave Canva. So I brought in the image now. This is the image. We want to either take off the image, this. So if you see all these layers on the right hand side, you see they have like a symbol of an eye, which means if I
pour that water, I will stand up from there.
Please do not disrupt our classes. Always keep your mics muted. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so we've added image, right? And I was just telling you how if you use this, the eyes icon here is just to view or hide. See the shapes? See? Abdurrahman. See? So this is image and that's all. Let's give Abdurrahman a Grammy. Say congratulations. Now, because we want to communicate them differently, we want one to have emphasis or hierarchy. We come to, if it's in front of the font, you see that this is where you select the font. This other part next to it is where you select the weight, light or bold or extra bold, whichever. So now, bold. You see it's boldened. And you can also make it all caps if you want. All caps, you see? Or small caps. Or make Abdurrahman all caps. Then overall reduce their sizes so they fit properly. Yeah. Then we can even change the color of this so there's a distinct difference, but it's still green. Now, I mentioned that you can get colors from your image. Tessie and Bello are on break. Abdurrahman won the Grammy. Okay, so I said you can get colors from your images, right? So now let's do that. Let's get colors from our image. Congratulations. We want it to be in a deep brown. We look at the image and pick. You can pick. So you see, I'm picking colors. I hope you guys are following. I'm picking colors. I picked that for that. So congratulations. Now, for the name of the Rahman, we could pick you see that every color I pick blends well with each other. Why? Because they are all on the image. They are already unified. See it. Can you see the mouse? Can you see it? Kenneth, can you see it? Can you guys see my eyedropper too? See it moving. See it moving. If you can see it, tell me you can see it. Can you see it? Good. Kenneth, can you see it? Tessie, you can't see it. Look again. Look again. It's in a different position now. Good. Ayo, look closely. Look closely. Okay, so we're selecting colors, right? And I said you can see that any color I pick is blending well with the image and the other color selected for this text. Congratulations. Because they are all in the image. See? So we'll stop with this one. This one. Let's change the font for congratulations to something a little bit display like blue stripe. Blue stripe is looking like he wants to fight. No, undo. Okay. Uh-oh. We changed the color just now. Why did you go back? Okay, so we take off all of this. I hope everybody's happy now. This is not what I'm using. I'm not using Photoshop Express Photo Editor. That is for mobile devices. I am using Adobe Photoshop desktop software. Thank you, Tessie. Good. So Tessie and Bello, you also won Grammy Award. Congratulations. Okay, so we're done with Photoshop. Now we move to Illustrator. Okay, so sorry about that breaking transmission. Here is Illustrator. And I said, you can see the previous works that I've done on the recent panel. Then there's Open that shows you to select a previous design. And there's New that brings us to selecting our kind of artboards. So you see, it's the same set of interface. So we are also doing 2000 pixels by 2000 pixels. CMYK, RGB, and we say create. Here we go. Now you can see the interface is different. Illustrator's interface is very different from that of Photoshop. But the tools on the left are still on the left. And the part where I said, if you pick any tool, the panel up here changes, applies also. Right? You can see it changing on the right panel. See, it's not changing so much up here, but it's changing on this side, on the right side of the screen. Click, change, it changes like that. So now let's repeat what we just did. So if you will tell me in the chat, what is the first thing we did? I have appeared back, don't worry. This is Adobe Illustrator for those asking. Okay, text. Yeah, we've already chose dimension, then we added text. Okay, so now we're using, let me see. We would use Justin, Comfort, and Ayo. We'll add text. Now we click on text. Justin. Also, I didn't show you in Photoshop. You can also, you see that on Illustrator, there are those icons, like a frame around the text. You can also use that to increase your text, okay? But to do that, you have to hold down your Shift key and all that, blah, blah, blah. So you get that in the practical class. But easily just come to your size panel and you can change the size, okay? So Justin. The other name is Ayo, right? Ayo. And we said, okay, Ayo should come down. Comfort. Okay, Comfort seems to be the longest name. Okay, so Comfort goes up. Justin follows, and Ayo. So 3 of them. Now, welcome, Ayo. We're talking about softwares, and this is Adobe Illustrator. So we're just basically checking the interface and checking where to get text from, where to get color from, and how to add image, okay? Now, you see the difference between Photoshop and Illustrator. Now, on Illustrator, immediately I click on the name Comfort. All these things appear. I can change the color with just a click. In Photoshop, I had to select all like this before I change the color. You can also do that here. You can select all and change the color. You see that? Or you can just click on it and change the color. Okay, so we've added color. This is Adobe Illustrator. This is Illustrator. This is Illustrator. This is Illustrator. Please pay attention. This is Illustrator. It's different. So see, look at the top part here. You see AI. On Photoshop, it was PS up here. And Photoshop seems to have a darker and different interface. See Photoshop interface. Can you see? It's different. Photoshop interface looks a bit more smaller, while Adobe Illustrator looks a bit wider. Good. Now, we are using should we do tetradic? Let's do triadic for this. Should I say triadic? Okay, yes, triadic. So now, let's get our, just a minute. Okay, let me quickly share my browser. Where are you? Good. Color scheme. Abi? No. Color wheel. Sorry. So from color wheel, we'll get to choose the three different colors from the four, the triadic or the tetradic. Okay. Yes, we'll add image. We want to pick the color scheme to use. Let's pick from here. Okay, good. I am back. If you can hear me. Good. Sorry for the breaking transmission. I'm back now. Ayo, don't worry. One Grammy award for you. Okay, so we want to use tetradic. Remember, we said tetradic is a square. This to yeah, right? Which means it's going to give us, so we're creating shapes. So this, we want to pick those 4 colors. Eyedropper picks this picks this, we pick this, and this one helps us to pick this. Now, you see the 4 colors that were picked. We want to have that on this text, right? So we say comfort takes purple. Now, remember, the rule for tetradic is to have one color dominate while the other colors are just very small, right? So comfort has that. Let's make it bold. Are we selected font? Okay, Orbitron. Good. So we're using Orbitron. We're using bold. Justin can be all caps. And blue. Or even purple again. And Io can be either this guy or this guy or this guy. Or our image can be purple while the text have these colors. Do you get? So it's all dependent on you. Okay. Now I want to add image. Yes, it's eyedropper. No, I didn't create the color wheel. Remember, I brought it from the presentation we used yesterday. I didn't create the color wheel, okay? Yeah. Good. So now let's add image. We brought in an image. Remember, I said you can either place an image, or you can drag and drop. That's how it works. Same thing that you can do for Illustrator works on Photoshop as well. Photoshop works as well as Illustrator. Okay. Now, okay, sound is better. Thank you. Good. So, Justin higher. Let's change the fonts to be more, to have a more good feel. Let's use a serif font, right? We've been using sans serif. Let's use serif. Felix. Okay, Cormorant. Coming, trying to get you a very simple serif font. Good. Okay, so we have all the names here on, let's make them all caps. Align everything to the left, or to the right, rather. Okay, left. We can reduce the sizes. And we want to tell them congratulations, right? You could just use one single font. You don't need to have to be all caps. It doesn't have to be blue. It can be purple. It can be a different font entirely. Good. Right? Now we want to make the colors go perfectly well with what we have there. So I drop 2 again, pick, and then we pick colors. Comfort, take. Justin. Ayo. So yeah, we can decide to make this bold, this semi-bold, and this regular. Okay. So yeah, we have. See, congratulations is missing an L. Thank you, Babatunde. The rest of you were busy congratulating yourself for winning Grammy Awards. Did not do anything for. Did not see that the spelling is wrong. Thank you very much, those of you that spotted that. Thank you. Good. So yeah, it's all good now. Can you guys see? You can all see, right? Can you all see it? Yes, good. That is congratulations to those guys. Now that is Adobe Illustrator. So let's quickly move to CorelDRAW. Just a minute. Yeah, I'm trying to get my CorelDRAW up. I'm experiencing a little bit of a challenge. I don't know what happened, but in the meantime, if you have questions, you could drop your questions while I answer your questions as I get that sorted for you. Okay? All right. Ajibade says, are there shortcuts one can press to get files from one computer instead of clicking on the interface? Yes, there are shortcuts. You get all of that in the practical classes. Kenan says, I get the concept a little bit, but Adobe, I've been scared of, but I think I can face it. Yes, I'm sure you can face it. David says, when using tetradic colors, can we make the background color dominate while other colors just add accent? Yes, that's how it works. So if the background is purple, the names exactly. But you know, if the background is purple now, the names, the color to use on purple has to be very, very, what's the word now? It has to be very, very different. Okay. All right, just a minute. Which is better between Photoshop and Illustrator? I can't really tell you that because you can use both of them for their different purposes because they both have their own strengths. If people want to know which one is better and which is not, they both have their own strengths and what to use them for. Some people use only Photoshop. Some other people use only Illustrator. People like me, I use both of them and I get the best results. So that's what I can tell you. Don't look for the one that's better. Just use both of them. Okay? Good. Chelsea says, if I was making a design on Photoshop, is it possible to take the design to Illustrator without ruining what I already designed? Yes, there can be a little downside to that. Yes, I'm about to open CorelDRAW for you guys now. So just a minute, okay? I'll be back. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, good. Now, this is CorelDRAW. Okay? This is CorelDRAW here. This is what CorelDRAW looks like. You can see it has a slight difference from all the other two softwares we've opened. Now, the difference while CorelDRAW looks different, first of all. So first reason why CorelDRAW is different is because CorelDRAW is not an Adobe software. Okay? Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop, they are all products of Adobe. They have other softwares under that. But CorelDRAW is on its own. Okay? Now, if you look at the interface of CorelDRAW, you see that, okay, the version of CorelDRAW I'm using here is 2021. The version of Photoshop I opened for you was Photoshop 2022. Okay, the version of Illustrator I opened is Illustrator 2023, not X7, CorelDRAW 21. Okay, so now quickly we'll do the same thing we did on the other softwares. So this is your workspace. This is the recent designs I've done. This is new documents where you can click new. This is open documents where you can open a previous document. Okay, so I click new. Now you see its own interface here for selection is different. All we have to do is decide, are we using A4? Yes. Or we want to change this to pixel or inches, whichever is up to you. Or we can make it landscape or portrait. The resolution is always 300, leave it there. All of these can be changed, just leave them. So C, CMYK, and RGB. So we always use RGB. When you want to print, I said you should do what? Use CMYK. Okay, now we click OK. And it's going to give us an interface. So this is the interface. On CorelDRAW, it's very different. The way you add text, the way you add color is different. You can see the tools are on the left as well. There are columns up there, and everything I click here, you can see them up there. That panel is changing. It changes as well. It changes. Now, colors are on this side, on the right side, all the colors. These are not all the color there is. There are more. If you keep scrolling down, you see it's moving. If you click on the other arrow, it brings up more colors. Okay, so now on Illustrator and Photoshop, the text icon was T. In CorelDRAW, it is a letter A. So you click A, and you click, we want to add a test. Sorry, you did the wrong thing. Okay. Now we're using Juliet. And this is Juliet. And Francis. And Peter. Yes, Photoshop is so different. I mean, yeah, CorelDRAW is very different. Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you. Just a minute. Okay, for those of you wondering, CorelDRAW is different from all of them. Francis is thanking me for using his name. You are very welcome. Thank you. My screen will be back shortly. There was some breaking transmissions coming up. Okay. I'm back. Sorry for the breaking transmission. So, Francis, and Peter, I said. Right? We want to add color. So all you just do is click on the name and you just select the color from here. On Photoshop and Illustrator, you have to click on color and it will open the panel. But in CorelDRAW, the color are already there for you. You just pick which color you want. And for every color you use, it forms a color scheme for your design down here. Can you see? You see? Then up here, you can select font. Select font, Gilroy. Yeah, this is, so see the way Gillette is written. This is a display serif. This is a serif that has a bit of a display nature. Okay. So we use sans serif for the names. Make sure they are the same sizes. $72. Then to add image, you can also do the same thing. You can either drag and drop. No Grammy for these people who are inviting them to Lagos. So this is the image, drag and drop. You can come to file, you can see import. So for Corridor, you can import and it takes you to where your image is, and then you select the kind of image you want and click import, and it brings the image here. You see. Then what else should we add? What else did we add? So we did alignment. So align these two together and move this a bit. Yeah. So that is it. Now, Illustrator, CorelDRAW, Photoshop. Photoshop is raster based. Okay, Photoshop is raster based, as you can see. Photoshop is raster based. If you look closely, you will see that it deals with, that's Photoshop for you. Photoshop is raster based. If I bring in don't worry, Ayo, leave these people alone. Okay, so let me show you something in Illustrator. Bringing in a vector. I want to bring in a vector shape, a vector design, or bring in something and vectorize it, and then take it to Photoshop. You see the difference. Okay, let's even make it easy. We had that London Bridge from yesterday. London Bridge is here. This is London Bridge. Okay, so we can just ungroup this and pick, this is London Bridge. So ungroup again. London Bridge is still grouped. Okay, so let's take London Bridge to where our design was. So this is, see London Bridge here. This is London Bridge, right? Now, if I take this to Photoshop, let me quickly switch to Photoshop. Then I'll bring in that from Photoshop, from Illustrator. So Illustrator to Photoshop. This is it. Sorry, what did you say? What is an illustration compared to, I didn't get your question. Okay, this is London Bridge in Photoshop now. So we're reducing the size, right? I want to show you the pixel and raster nature of Photoshop. This is the bridge. Now, let's zoom in. Zoom in. Are you seeing the bridge is already getting blurry? You see? The bridge is blurry. Kenneth, I will answer your question in just a minute. But But in Illustrator, the bridge doesn't get blurry. You see? That's the same image. That is the same image from Photoshop and Illustrator. And you saw that. Pixel, that's what happened. This same image, if I take it to CorelDRAW, is the same thing. CorelDRAW is also vector-based. Okay? All right. Now, that will be all for the interface of the 3 different softwares. By next week, Tuesday, when the practical classes start, you get a full idea on how to use all of them. So now, questions, right? Kenneth says, what is an Illustrator compared to types of softwares? I'm not sure I get that. What exactly is an Illustrator? Okay, so Kenneth, this is what it is. Photoshop. You can hear the name photo. Illustrator. You can hear the name illustrate. CorelDRAW. You can also hear the name draw. Right? Okay. So Illustrator is used for vector-based images, for 2-dimensional works. And to make those 2-dimensional works have like a 3D feel, you add form, shadow, perspective, and light. That makes it better. Okay. Francis has been asking for my number from the beginning of class. Francis, don't worry, you get my number. Okay. Okay, Tessie, there was something I said we wanted to talk about at the end of the class. What was that? Designers to follow on Instagram. Okay, great. I'll give you those names now. So while I get those names, not famous designers. I'm talking of designers to follow, not famous designers. Okay. Not famous designers, please. So now, so ask your questions. If you have a question, you raise your hand up and ask. Remember, if your question involves practical, you will have to wait till Tuesday next week to get them answered. Okay, because this is a theoretical classes for you to get better understanding on the softwares, the principles, and everything. So go on. Yes, this is the last class for the week. This is the last theoretical class for the week. In fact, this is the last theoretical class I said for the week. This is the last theoretical class, and this is the last class for the week as well. So from Tuesday, after the public holiday on Monday, from Tuesday, the practical classes resume. Okay, Rebecca has a question. Rebecca, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning, sir. Thank you for the class. It's not a question. I actually sent an email to, they sent us an email concerning joining the cohort 1. I replied the email because it's going to be clashing with my going to the office. So there are days I go to the office, there are days I work from home. So I actually sent an email to ask for maybe if mine can be rescheduled for the next cohort. So just not to have a clash, because it's very important to me. So I don't know if I have to drop my email so that they can trace the email, or what can I do, please?
Okay, but you already sent an email.
Yes, I haven't gotten a response. It's
okay. I'll take your name down and get that.
Thank
I'll take your
you.
name down. Rebecca Alexander, right?
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I'll take your name down. So we'll get that sorted. Okay, yeah. Any more questions, please, before we wrap up? Questions? If you want to speak, raise up your hand. If your network is bad, just type the question, okay? All right, Kenneth, go on. Kenneth. Okay, I think Kenneth's network is bad. Kenneth, just type, your network is having a bit of a glitch. Okay, Ademola says, I have a similar issue with Rebecca as well, and there isn't a reply yet also. Okay, Rebecca, send your full, Ademola, send in your full name so that I'll put that into, we'll look at it, okay? Look into it. Okay, someone said, can you extend your time to 12:10? Well, I'm answering questions. If you ask me questions that make me state it, then fine. But if you have no questions, I'm afraid I'll have to. Okay. Godman Sule says, please, what's the duration for the physical classes? Like what time? Okay. Are there evening classes in any of the cohorts, like 1 p.m. to 6 or 2 to 7? No. All those questions will be answered shortly. I have a question regarding that, please. Mobolaji, what question is that? Kenneth said, was wondering when you're going to get which cohort you belong to. Okay. Ademola Agunride. Okay. We'll take that. I'm taking your name down. Rebecca, same thing. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I've been given the go ahead to extend my time, so I will do that. Okay, yes. Mobolaji, you can speak.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Please, I was thinking, I was placed in cohort 2, sir, and my class is starting on the 3rd of April rather, and my POP is 4th of April, and I'm quite far from Lagos, so I plan on coming to Lagos around that 5th, the next day. Can I still meet up with the class?
Yeah, sure.
All right, sir.
You can. All right. Yes, you don't have to come with your laptops. There will be computers for you to use. Okay, Rebecca, I've taken your full name and your email address. Please address for the next class. Yes, that should have been shared to you via your email right now. You get it, okay? If you have not received that email yet or gotten the message from the WhatsApp, you get that. All right. How many weeks is the physical training? 3 weeks. Physical training is for 3 weeks. There are no laptops to take home for practice. Okay. Which other question again? So I think most of the questions, yeah, are based on the physical classes. So I will have the coordinator to come speak on that and answer your questions for the physical classes. Okay. So right now, just a minute and she will be up. Okay, so we've come to the end of the class, and I'm taking a bow now. So I'll leave you in the hands of Ms. Chidema. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Oh,
ma'am.
Tessie said they left without the list.
I'm going to drop
Tessie, we'll drop that for you. Don't worry, we'll drop that. We'll drop that, okay? So good afternoon, everyone. So please, can we turn on our videos? Let me see your faces. How's been the class? So I want, as the flow has been, we would like to take feedback. This is an opportunity for one or two persons to say something about the class, and then also talk about your expectations for the physical class. So if you're interested, you can just raise up your hand, and then I would unmute you, and then you can have the floor. All right, so do we have people who want to do that? I just need one or two persons, then call it a close. Anybody? Anybody? What are you looking forward to in the physical class? Care to share? Please, I say raise up your hands. Please, don't unmute yourself and talk, okay? Anybody? Okay, Queen. All right. All right. So just a minute. Okay, so we'll take Queen. Queen, please, you can unmute yourself and just, tell us your
Good
feedback from this
afternoon. Good
class.
afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. Is it possible to turn on your video?
No, it's not.
All right.
I can turn on my video. It's fine.
All right, please. Thank you. All right. So please go ahead.
So, thank you so much for the opportunity first. Thank you. Thank you also to Mr. Joseph for being a wonderful instructor. I learned so much. It has really been eye-opening for me. As I do not have any background knowledge on graphic designing, so I look forward to practical sessions, like implementing everything I've been taught in the theoretical class. I look forward to drawing a design or carrying out a project by myself using every software he has taught us. And I look forward to creating new things with ideas I get. And I look forward to interacting with my fellow classmates, at least placing a face to people I've met here: Tessie, Ayo, Bello, Abdurrahman. And I look forward to meeting my instructors too. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. This was beautiful. I'm glad that you've connected with each other while you're learning, because you never know where life would also take us to. So thank you for that beautiful feedback, Queen. So I'll unmute you, Comfort. You have the floor.
Okay. I'm grateful for the class, the opportunity to study graphics design. It's always been my desire to study graphics design, and this opportunity came, and I'm grateful. I'm also grateful for instructor Mr. Joseph. He's been meticulous. He's been very clear in explaining all the tools that we need to to be a great designer. And also, I want to thank Crystal Digital. You guys are awesome. And also, I'm looking forward to meeting my classmates, my instructors, and also having a wonderful full experience in general. That's what I'm looking forward to. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you, Mr. Joseph. The feedback, awesome. Thank you for that. So Ayodeji, you have the floor. I think this will be the last person. So you can share your feedback and then what you're looking forward to at the physical classes. You have the floor, please.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
First off, I want to thank Mr. Joseph so well. He's been very clear when he explains. Most times when I get home, I take my notes and I try to, read back and, think about all the things he taught us. From the videos I have, I tell you, they are self-explanatory, even without his own physical presence right there beside me. I just have these playbacks and it's a wonderful experience. Even though I have a little knowledge in graphics, I used Canva at some point. I'm still using Canva, but it would be a great deal for me to, learn how to use all other softwares to enhance my graphic skills. I'm looking forward to also connect to my colleagues, even though I've not personally maybe reached out to a few on here, but I'm looking forward to see you guys ahead. And also, please, I missed lectures for yesterday, day 3, and then today I came late. So I don't know if I can have the group link, YouTube link rather, that I can use to watch these videos once again. Thank you so much, man.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the beautiful feedback. All right, so if you miss any of the classes, usually we drop it on the WhatsApp group by evening so that everyone is a bit settled and then you can have time to go over it. So we'll also do that for today. We'll drop the link to the YouTube link so you can watch it. And also, I think this is the point where I need to address some of the questions that were asked earlier. Somebody is asking, please, the days with pink colors, are they the only days for the physical classes? It depends on what cohort you are assigned, but if you've been assigned to cohort 1, that particular column will be highlighted. If you've been assigned to cohort 2, that particular column will be highlighted. So if the colors we have with pink, let me quickly check for my own end, so I give you a definite answer now. So if it has been highlighted, that means that is where you belong to. But just quickly, let me check my own sheet now. All right, so for cohort 1, your highlight is in blue. So the days highlighted are the days you have your classes. For cohort 2, yes, the days highlighted are in pink. Those are the days you have your classes. So those are the days you ought to be at the center early enough. Is that okay now? So Comfort is saying, please let the timetable be shared on the group chat because I couldn't download from the email. Thank you. All right, that will be noted. The group admin will do that. That's why it is important for each and every one of us to join our respective cohorts. Some of us are joining cohorts 1, some of us are joining cohorts 2, some of us are even wanting to join the closed group for the Crystal team. Please, the most important groups for you to join is the general WhatsApp group that carries graphics design training. Then the next group you should join is that has been sent to your email link. So it's either cohort 1 or cohort 2. You cannot be on the same cohort, okay? Whatever will be taught in cohort 1 will also be taught in cohort 2. The only week we have for specialization will be towards the last week. So you're not missing out on anything by being in the 2 groups, okay? So please, for the sake of managing ourselves effectively, so be sure that each and every one of us learns as we should. That's why we splitted ourselves into 2 groups. So please and please, do not join the 2 WhatsApp groups titled cohort 1 and 2. You are either to join one, that is cohort 1 or cohort 2. I hope that is clear now. So the timetable will be shared on the group later today or before the week runs out. So that has been answered. So I'll just go up again. So there's another question saying, Okay, so please, Tessie says you left without the list, so I will get it and then send it across to you. What about those that do not have laptops? Justin is asking, what about those of us that do not have laptops? So for now, the provision we have made is that during the period of the training at the physical site, you have a laptop that will be assigned to you, but you cannot take the laptop out of the premise. You're only allowed to use it during the course of the training. So I know that is not so effective because of people who would want to practice. But as at now, that is what we can do at the moment. If any other arrangements will be made, it will be communicated to each and every one of us. Kenneth is asking, how do I get to know which cohort I work with? You sent an email. By now, all emails have been sent for cohort 1 and cohort 2. So please check your emails. If you can't find it in your inbox, check your spam to be sure that it has not gone there. Okay. And then if you still have issues, please send a mail to us at info@projectideas.com. We'll respond to you. Okay, so okay, yes, Afolabi is saying, I think they sent some emails this morning. You guys should check your mails for cohort 2. That's correct. Cohort 2 email went out this morning. So please, everyone, check. Please check. Check again if you have issues. Please, the WhatsApp group will be open at intervals in the evening so that everybody can participate. So please just be on the lookout. Between the period of 6 to 7, we'll open the group briefly so you can ask your questions. But if you cannot wait, you can always send an email to us at info@projectideas, the email that came with the original mail, and then we'll respond to it. So Juliet is also asking, how many weeks is the physical training? So it's been targeted for 3 days. If there's a need to extend, we'll send the details across. So tentatively, because of the hybrid schedule we're running, we're going to have 3 times a week for 6 days. So in total, we have about 18 days physical training, because we believe that graphics design is more practical. So it's one thing for us to come here and teach you over the call like we are now virtually, but you need to put, a face and then test the software yourself. And also we need to know what your skills and then your interests are. So that's why we'll be having the physical classes, okay? Okay. I think these other ones have been attended to. So I'll go down. I'm scrolling down to the messages. Okay, somebody is saying, is it possible to get Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop, and CorelDRAW software installed for us on our personal laptops, so as to work on our own assignments at home? Okay, so we'll make provision for that. The IT person will be on ground on that day, but currently what we've done is to install all of the software on the laptop that we'll be using at the center. But yes, we can make provisions for that so that it also aids our learning. Thank you, sir. So do we have any other questions? Do we have any other questions? How do I join the general group? Okay, so somebody will share it now on this call so that you can join. If you also have friends here, you can please share it because I noticed we're not complete on the WhatsApp group. We ought to be more than the numbers that we have currently. So the WhatsApp group is for information, for ease of communication. So please, we'll share it now. We'll share the link to the WhatsApp group now so that you can join. Then by evening, we'll also share details of the timetable between now and when the class will commence next week. We'll share all necessary information. Somebody's asking, would there be lunch for us or we should come with pizza? Yes, there's provision for lunch. There's provision for lunch, so we'll take care of you, right? So please come prepared to learn. Okay, somebody is saying, okay, somebody has answered. So please, somebody share the WhatsApp group on this call so that other people who are not there can join. So please, would kindly ask you to turn on your videos. We want to take another group picture today, since today is the end of the virtual classes. So please turn on your videos. Let's take another virtual picture. Then we can call it a day if there are no further questions. Can we please share the WhatsApp link to the group so that people who are not there can join? So, all right, so please turn on your videos. Let's take a quick picture. I can't wait to see everybody next week, Tuesday. So next week, Tuesday, would work towards making sure that the center is easy to locate. When you come in, you'll be asked to register so that we can have your details. We'll give you a tag and then the t-shirts so that you can easily be identified. And then we'll kick off classes. So please come prepared, come excited, come with a heart of learning, and then ready to network with everyone. So if we have no further questions, any final questions before we call it a close? Do we have questions? All right, Isayo, please, you have the floor.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay. I want to ask the physical class. I saw the duration is 3 weeks, and the 3 weeks is from, I think for each co-host, we have about 9 days in the 3 weeks. So from what time to what time?
It's 9
Like
a.m. to
the
3
time
p.m., sir.
duration, is it from like
9 to 3
a.m. to
p.m.
3 p.m.?
Yes, so within the 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., we
Okay.
have a period for break too, so that we can all rest, stretch our legs, and then have lunch.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so in the absence of any further questions, Ademola, this is the last question we'll take. All right, please. Ademola, you can unmute yourself. This is the last question, please, so that everybody can go back to their busy schedules. Ademola, you have the floor, please. Oh, we can't hear you. You're muted. All right.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
All right. My location is Ibadan, and the classes clash with work, kind of. If I don't make all the classes, can it still be feasible?
If you don't meet the classes, that's the physical classes, can it still be? Do you mean virtual?
Yes. And if I'm able to make maybe some of the physical classes, not all, because with work, I might not be able to meet up with all the classes.
First and foremost, at the end of the day, the target is to ensure everybody is properly trained, and then you go for the global certification. So we have to be sure that we prepare you well so that you don't go in and then it's as though we were not properly taught. That's why we want to do a lot of experience. Because after this now, the plan is also to connect you with other organizations that you can do internship and then possibly get employment for those who are interested in that. So it's a journey, yes. But we'll see what we can work around. I'm not promising anything because you need to actually be on ground to get value for the class.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, all right, I think that will be all for now. So please, if you need any clarification, feel free to reach out to us. If you're on the group, you can always send me a private message, but the group will be opened at intervals between 6 to 7 so that we can interact with ourselves, and then all further details will be dropped on the group, the announcement group, our respective cohort group, and the general group. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us. What's my name on the group? My name is Chidima. Yes, but we also have other group admins there. So you can just leave your message. So between 6 to 7, we'll try to open the groups, say for 30 minutes. The reason why we lock it is so that it doesn't become rowdy and then we missed out important information. Somebody is still asking for the WhatsApp group link. Can somebody please share the WhatsApp group link here so that... Okay, thank you. Okay, this is the YouTube link, the WhatsApp group, please. All right, so in the absence of any other thing, let's call it a close while we just attend to people who still drop messages on the chat. So thank you for joining in today. Enjoy the rest of today and have a beautiful holiday. See you on the 2nd of April next week, Tuesday, for those in cohort 1. Bye for now.